Okay, hi and welcome. So, berry, blackberries. Oh my God, those things are huge. Oh, blackberries. Sorry, food took over. I was. Oh yeah, g'day, hi and welcome. That's what I was good. It's funny what happens to me when I say, "Oh, I'm coming back for those." I'll kill a bear for those. Blackberries are so good. I'm up at Bamagillard Road, and I'm testing out my little CRV here. It's a little bit rough. I didn't go all the way to the top, but it's with that 8 inches of ground clearance, it seems to be going pretty good. So I'm going to try to one-hand this without dying. I'm probably about 1,500 feet above sea level right now. Very top is 3,600. Going back that way, there's a guy. I saw him with what you call it, one of those side-by-sides. He turned around and came back. So I was like, well, if he's turning around, it's probably getting too rough up ahead. So. It's not bad. It's not as washed out as I thought, but just out for a little bit of an evening drive. I do that. It's kind of like, again, I haven't driven in such a long time, I guess, and this vehicle is barely used. It's only got 437,940 kilometers on it. A 250,000 miles. That's it. It's practically brand new. For these standards. But just testing out how the all-wheel drive works in this thing. Basically, it's technically a two-wheel drive. What they do with the CRV, which stands for Creative Recreation Vehicle or Compact Recreational Vehicle. Motor Trend says it's one thing, and another sports guys, car guys said it's something else, and the manufacturer said it was something else. So we'll pick your verbiage. It's a CRV at the end of the day, $19.99. It's a nice evening. Figured before look at how nice and green everything is. Big stone there. I don't want to be taking out any oil pans or anything like that, but the all-wheel drive. Let me explain the all-wheel drive on this. It's not on all the time. Which makes sense. And I got it's going to get really rough here. It was fine coming down, but it's going to be rough going up. Okay, try to avoid that. There's some oil pan killers here, so I got to be very careful. But basically, whenever it loses traction, that's when your four-wheel drive kicks in. So that's not quite so bad. I'm not really. I wasn't looking for an SUV. It's just at $400. This Unico here by Unicorn showed up, and there's hardly any rust on it. Just a lot of mileage, but it's practically got the exhaust can't be more than a couple of years old on it. Windshield's good. Brakes aren't bad. They're not great, but they'll stop. I don't have to put my feet on the ground like Fred Flintstone, so they'll do that. It's all-wheel drive. And basically what you have here is a Honda Civic in an SUV. 4-cylinder engine, just a little tiny engine. This doesn't seem to be heating it up. I'm just crawling around here. It doesn't seem to be heating up anything, so for guys that are looking for a small SUV that's not too expensive. This is definitely going to be cheaper than the RAV4, most likely. And I forget, there's quite a few SUVs in this. These are like compact SUVs. It's for a person who wants the image of an SUV, but the economy of a car. But, you get the image. You're not going to get, you'll get close to the economy. I mean, this thing, I'm at nearly the half tank, about a third tank, 148 clicks, so that's just about 90 miles is about a half tank, so probably get about 200, 240 to the tank, maybe all in. I'm going to use a little bit of concentration here. Oh, careful. Okay. Some of these big stones, they'll turn up on you and go right into your oil pan. And then you've got no oil left. Why? Because you broke your oil pan. I'm not trying to break the machine. I've only had it a week. I've been off the road since last October. Well, for four wheels anyway. But I thought this would be just a fun little test. Now, this rock coming up here, just got to be careful on this one. This one has claimed the mini transmission. I've been going back here since I was a kid. There's an apple orchard up at the top and a little yurt. So I call it the cupcake house, but they call them yurts, little round looks like a little cupcake house, and it's been up there for years. And I was going to go up there, but a little too rough. And again, my goal isn't to break this thing. It'd be different if I had another vehicle, whatever. So it's just to kind of test it a bit to see how well the all-wheel drive does work in this. Get around that stuff. So far, so good. You can feel it kick in a little bit. Because of the high mileage on this thing, yeah, this thing's getting kind of lazy. I mean, this thing doesn't like hills too much. It moans and groans a bit coming up the big hills. You can hear the catalytic converter making that kind of sound that it makes when it doesn't know what to do. But other than that, this is a decent little vehicle for $400. I'm not complaining at all. It's very utilitarian. I mean, I can fit my Mesa Boogie half cab in here, and probably if you were a family people, you could probably, I think there's enough for 3 in the back, 2 in the front. You know, so a family of 5 can a little bit shaky there. Steering's kind of loose. It's kind of boxy on the highway. You kind of waddle around a bit. It's a short wheelbase. It's one of those vehicles you feel like you're chasing the nose all the time, so you're always kind of like doing this. You know, and it's not that the alignment's bad or anything on it. It's just it's a short wheelbase, so it feels top heavy, but it's not like it doesn't feel like it's going to roll over on you like some SUVs that are really, really tall, you know. So any taller, yeah. This thing, like if you've ever driven in a Suzuki Samurai, that thing feels like it's going to fall over when you park it because it's just so short wheelbase and it's so tall for what it is. As far as sliding around on this stuff, like look, I'm not sliding around hardly at all. If you're on a really short, something with a shorter wheelbase than this thing would be like going sideways on you every 5 seconds on the loose stuff like this. Obviously, I'm not trying to break the power steering in this either. I'm not trying to break anything, so I'm just kind of eco-driving it through here. It's not super rough through here, but it's rough enough. Plus, I got a busted shock on that side, or the spring is busted, not the actual shock. And yeah, but the only really criticism I have about this thing is the anti-theft that was installed on it is a pain in the butt. You got to hit the 4 ways every time you go to start it. But this vehicle, ironically enough, used to belong to my boss that I have now, or client, however you want to look at him, who sold it to my cousin last year. I told this story already, but he sold it to my cousin last year for about $900 or whatever, and then my cousin sold it to me for $400. He's already got a couple of vehicles. He's got a big, you know, this was just the beater vehicle. But what's strange about it is it says 1,000 RPM minimum, but this thing, ever since I cleaned out the airbox, it idles at like 500, 600 RPM when you first start it up. So, I don't know, maybe it needs some remapping or something. But again, the mileage on this vehicle, it tells me a lot about this vehicle. Number one, there could not be 400,000 kilometers on this thing and virtually no rust without somebody taking care of it. Now, I can see where like some patchwork has been done. Yes, there is some rust on it, but it's nowhere near like say my road rage van, which has half the mileage. Which the rockers are gone. The rockers are still there, but things are starting to go. So this vehicle was actually quite well taken care of when it was purchased or bought and used for years and years. And it used to spend a lot of time going to from here to Toronto, or even Ottawa to Toronto. I mean, you're talking from here to Toronto is like a 6-hour drive. That's over 300-400 miles from here. I haven't actually logged it out, but you get the idea. We're going to see a horsey. There's a horse, just a mysterious horse in this field here. He's never been here before. There's 2 horses. Where are the horsies coming from? Check out the horsies. That's the first time I've ever seen anybody use this old barn and stable. Unless the horses are like, stealing. You guys better not be stealing. Horsies? Yeah, I'm talking to you, buddy. Hey, Mr. Horse, why the long face? But anyway, yeah, so back on Harrison or Copeland Evans here. And this is just a regular road. The only thing got to watch out is for the pickup truck coming at you at 120. I always do the speed limit, especially on these back places like that. I know these roads like the back of my hand, but that's why I don't go too fast on them. But this could be a good adventure vehicle for somebody. that was looking for, you know, this kind of washboardy, kind of washed out stuff. It's been raining a lot. If you live in a kind of a remote area like this is the kind of vehicle that, well, you're going to get out of here in the wintertime, you know. The all-wheel drive, it only kicks in when you lose traction in the back, you know, on the front, then the back kicks in too. There is a lot of downsides to all-wheel drive, such as usually poor mileage, and I don't know if this is true or not. I'm sure everybody's tested this, that usually when you change your tires, you got to change them all at the same time, because if they don't wear even, it tends to, when your all-wheel drive kicks in, you got different traction levels, and I guess it's harder on the harder on stuff. But again, at this kind of mileage, is somebody going to make that kind of caution? But you can't get to this kind of mileage unless you take care of the vehicle, right? So I'm not saying this thing isn't going to, I mean, it is a time bomb with this mileage. I mean, engine could grenade on me at any time. That's another reason why I'm eco-driving it. I'm just going easy on it. One thing I really like about it is the mirror. Look at those mirrors. Like, even with this poor camera quality, my cell phone, you can see really good out of that mirror. Like, it's really good. The visibility all around is good. The nose, the vehicle, I guess because it's not super high, it feels like the nose is much longer on it. I guess because the hood is up a little higher. Like on my van, it was a lot more sloped, so it felt like there was no nose on the thing. So this thing feels like it's a lot longer than what it is. But it's a weird thing. It feels like you're chasing the nose a bit. It feels like you're in a long vehicle with a short wheelbase, if that makes any sense at all. That's what it feels like to drive this thing. It feels like a Jeep that should feel like a car. You know, like it's weird. I like it. It's comfortable. The seats are kind of these seats never wear out. These are Honda put a lot of development in the durability of these seats. So they're not the most comfy. They're definitely, the lumbar support is good. The seat's nice and wide. But if you're going to rally race this thing, yeah, you'd be sliding all around. The seats are kind of flat too. Nowhere near as comfortable as what my Caravan was for traveling. That thing is, you know, a luxury liner in comparison to this, and the extra 2 cylinders in it gave it a lot more whatever, and the lower clearance made it a smoother ride, longer wheelbase. You get the idea. But this, again, not bad. Although, you know, the older this steering wheel, look, I'm still going straight. You know, okay, you need to wake it up a bit, but that's just probably the age of the thing. I'm sure if you had tighter steering on it, and in fact, I don't know if I'd want tighter steering on this, because you'd be like this all the time. You know, like every little bump would be throwing you around. But that thus is SUVs, older SUVs particularly, which were really trying to cater to the outdoorsy type people who didn't mind a little extra roughness in the ride, right? So it's a little thing. As I go with Unico here, the new Road Beast, replacing the Road Rage van, I'll tell you more about it. You know, what I like about it, what I don't like about it. So far, there's not much I don't like about it. I mean, I'd rather have a car, yes, for driving around, but these back roads, obviously, you know, I wouldn't be driving my car back here if I had a car, just because I know these roads, and, you know, it's that stone that's going to take out your oil pan. Although people drive back here all the time with cars. It's just the idea that you don't want to, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? You don't want to be the guy stuck back here and walking out, because it's a 3-hour walk out. You know, it's a 20-minute drive through, but it's probably about 2 or 3 hours to walk out, because, you know, the speed difference. But no, this thing's pretty cool. It's pretty good on this loose stuff. It's good on the rough stuff. It's a little boxy. Would I want to drive cross country in it? It'd be a boxy ride. It wouldn't be the most comfortable, but it's comfortable enough. You know, would I want to take it rally racing? Not with this kind of steering. You'd be in the trees or upside down before you know it. What's it like at 120 kilometers an hour? Don't know yet. Why? The fastest I've taken it is 100. Why? Perhaps you haven't seen the mileage on this thing. You know, again, give me 2 months when I have a little money saved up for another vehicle or something like that. Then yeah, brakes not bad. I haven't you know, emergency braked it, but from new they stop in about 120, 130 feet. Okay, so that's about 60 to 70 meters roughly. So factor in the age of the vehicle, add another 40 feet for margin of error. Give yourself 160 to 200 feet to stop with this thing, if you had to do emergency stop. So don't tailgate anybody with it. again, the exhaust in is pretty quiet. That I got on there. It has a big muffler and a silencer on it, and then your catalytic converter. So it's a pretty quiet vehicle considering it's a 1999. But again, this exhaust might be a year, 2 years old. I looked at it. There's no rust on the pipes. The header's a different story, but the this is a little 2-liter 4-cylinder engine. There's a little meat bird there flying around. And one thing about it is that it's not a lot of power, but it is a cam chain, so that explains some of the high mileage. They are not unflawed engines, but the flaws that they do have are well outweighed by the simplicity. Basically, you've got an oversized motorcycle engine that is basically running this thing. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. So that's just the off-road proportion of it. I'm not going to kill this thing, not until later. Should it die on me or start to act up and I have another vehicle, this thing might become a mud runner. That might be kind of fun. But then you'd have to lock in the all-wheel drive somehow. But there's no way to turn on or off the all-wheel drive. It's just, it automatically comes on whenever you lose traction. So technically, you could really consider this thing a two-wheel drive for daily driving. All right, there you go.